Lila was a curious little girl who lived in a small village surrounded by green fields and tall trees. She loved animals, flowers, and everything about nature. Lila spent most of her days exploring the forest near her house with her dog, Max. Max was a big, friendly golden retriever who followed Lila everywhere she went. One sunny morning, Lila woke up early and looked out of her window. The sky was clear and the birds were singing. It was a perfect day for an adventure. She quickly got dressed, grabbed her backpack, and called Max. "Come on, Max, let's go explore," she said excitedly. Lila's backpack was always ready for her adventures. Inside, she had a bottle of water, some snacks, a small notebook, and a pencil. She liked to draw pictures of the things she saw and write short notes about her discoveries. Today, Lila decided to explore a part of the forest she had never been to before. She walked along a narrow path, with Max happily wagging his tail beside her. The forest was full of tall trees, colorful flowers, and the sound of rustling leaves. Lila felt like she was in a magical place. After walking for a while, Lila and Max came to a small stream. The water was clear and sparkled in the sunlight. Lila knelt down and touched the water. It was cool and refreshing. "This is so beautiful," she thought. Max jumped into the stream and started splashing around. Lila laughed. "You're so silly, Max." As they followed the stream, Lila noticed something shiny on the ground. She bent down and picked it up. It was a small golden key. What could this be for? Lila wondered. She put the key in her pocket and decided to look for answers. Lila and Max continued walking until they reached a clearing. In the middle of the clearing, there was an old wooden door standing by itself. It wasn't attached to a house or a building. It was just there, standing tall and mysterious. Lila felt her heart race with excitement. Could this key open the door? She thought. She took the key out of her pocket and walked up to the door. Max barked softly, as if he was curious too. Lila inserted the key into the lock and turned it. With a soft click, the door opened. Lila and Max looked at each other, and then Lila stepped through the door. On the other side of the door was a beautiful garden unlike anything Lila had ever seen. The flowers were bigger and brighter than the ones in her village. There were butterflies of every color, and the air smelled sweet. In the middle of the garden was a small pond with golden fish swimming in it. Lila walked around the garden, amazed by everything she saw. She noticed a tree with shiny silver leaves. Hanging from one of the branches was a small wooden sign that read, "Welcome to the secret garden. Take only memories, leave only footprints." Lila smiled. She felt like she had found a hidden treasure. Max ran around happily, sniffing the flowers and chasing butterflies. Lila sat by the pond and opened her notebook. She started drawing pictures of the garden and writing about her discovery. She wanted to remember every detail. As Lila explored further, she noticed a small stone path leading deeper into the garden. Curious, she followed it. The path led her to a gazebo made of white marble. Inside the gazebo, there was a wooden box. Lila opened the box and found a set of tiny tools and a note. The note read, "For the keeper of the garden," and gave instructions on how to care for the plants and animals in the garden. Lila felt honored to be trusted with such a responsibility. Every week, Lila would return to the secret garden. She watered the flowers using a small watering can she found in the gazebo and fed the golden fish with food stored in a hidden compartment near the pond. She even planted new flowers and watched them grow. The garden became even more beautiful with Lila's care. One day, while she was tending to the garden, Lila noticed a family of rabbits peeking out from behind a bush. She left some vegetables near their hiding spot, and soon the rabbits came out to eat. Max, curious but gentle, sat quietly and watched them. It was moments like these that made the garden feel even more magical. As the seasons changed, so did the garden. In the spring, the flowers bloomed in bright colors. In the summer, the trees provided cool shade. In the fall, the leaves turned golden and red, creating a stunning view. Even in the winter, the garden remained magical, with frost sparkling on the plants and the pond gently frozen over. One winter afternoon, Lila decided to bring her best friend Mia to the garden. She had kept the garden a secret for so long, but felt that Mia would appreciate its beauty as much as she did. When Lila opened the door and stepped through with Mia, her friend gasped, "This is amazing! How did you find this place?" Lila smiled. "It was a lucky adventure, and now I want to share it with you." Together, they built a tiny snowman near the pond and laughed as Max tried to knock it over with his nose. Over time, the garden became a special place not just for Lila, but also for those she trusted to share its secret. Mia often joined her, and they created new memories with every visit. Lila continued to care for the garden, feeling a deep connection to its magic and beauty. One spring day, while walking through the garden, Lila noticed a new trail of flowers leading to a part of the garden she hadn't explored before. Intrigued, she followed the trail with Max by her side. The trail led to a hidden alcove with a fountain at its center. The fountain was made of crystal, and the water sparkled like diamonds in the sunlight. Around the fountain were benches carved from stone, and on one of them was an inscription, "Where dreams grow and secrets bloom." Lila sat on the bench and closed her eyes, listening to the soft sound of the water. She felt a sense of peace and belonging, as if the garden was speaking to her. She decided to name this new part of the garden the Fountain of Dreams. It became her favorite spot, a place where she would sit and imagine new adventures to write in her notebook. One summer evening, Lila and Mia organized a small celebration in the garden. They invited a few trusted friends and brought lanterns, music, and snacks. The group laughed, shared stories, and danced under the stars. Max ran around, happily joining in the fun. As the night went on, the garden seemed to glow with happiness, as if it was alive and enjoying the moment too. As the years passed, Lila noticed strange happenings in the garden. One morning, she found the flowers in one part of the garden wilted and the fountain water murky. She couldn't understand what had gone wrong. Determined to protect her magical haven, Lila decided to investigate. While exploring, she discovered an old, rusty chest hidden under a bush. When she opened it, she found an ancient journal with drawings of the garden and notes in a language she couldn't read. She took the journal to an elderly historian in her village, Mrs. Elda, who revealed that the garden was protected by ancient magic, and the balance had been disturbed by an unknown force. "You must restore the balance, Lila," Mrs. Elda said. "The garden's magic is tied to its caretaker." Determined, Lila returned to the garden and began searching for clues. She noticed that a part of the garden she had never explored seemed darker and quieter than the rest. As she ventured deeper, Max growled softly, sensing something unusual. There, hidden among the thick vines, was a black stone emitting a faint, cold light. Lila carefully touched the stone, and suddenly she heard a whisper. "Restore what was taken." She realized that the stone was draining the garden's magic. She decided to bury it far away from the garden, hoping to restore its balance. With Max by her side, she carried the stone to the edge of the forest and buried it beneath an ancient oak tree. The next day, Lila returned to the garden and found it vibrant and alive once again. The flowers were blooming, the fountain sparkled, and the animals played happily. Lila felt a deep sense of accomplishment. She knew she had protected something precious, not just for herself, but for the magic it held. Years passed, and Lila grew older, but she never stopped visiting the garden. She continued to care for it, and share its magic with those she loved. Eventually, she wrote a book about her adventures, filling it with her drawings and stories. The book became a beloved tale in her village, inspiring children to explore nature and find their own hidden treasures. Lila's secret garden remained a timeless haven, a place of wonder and beauty that connected her past, present, and future. And even as she grew old, the garden's magic never faded, always waiting to welcome her back through its mysterious door.